Last week, we talked about 4 exercises that use all of your shoulder muscles. And this week, we talked about the 4 exercises that you can put in any training program that will work all of your shoulder muscles. That's a vertical push, a vertical pull, a horizontal push, and a horizontal pull. So this week, we're going to define what those movements mean. So first, we're going to talk about vertical and horizontal. Horizontal is defined by the motion relative to our own body. So a horizontal movement would be a movement that is horizontal to our body, right? So that's going to be in this plane. Forward and backwards, right? Horizontal. That means if we change our orientation relative to gravity, horizontal becomes in this plane, right? So it's always going to be relative to our own body, which means that vertical is going to be in this plane, the up and the down, right? And again, if we change our orientation relative to gravity, vertical is going to be here and no longer here, right? So it's not necessarily the movement in relation to gravity, it's the movement in relation to our own body. Vertical, horizontal. Let's also define push and pull. So we're going to think about push and pull in terms of the muscle system that we're using. A push is going to be generally using the muscle systems that flex, that are in the front of our body. So, right, like our chest muscles, some of our shoulder muscles. And then a pull is generally going to be using our extensor system, which are mostly muscles on the back of our body. So like our lat, some of our shoulder muscles. A push is also going to be our body pushing away from something, like a push-up, or our body pushing something away, right? So those two things are pretty closely related, but can sometimes be different. We'll give examples. A pull is generally going to be pulling something towards our body or pulling our body towards something, right? So we have vertical and horizontal relative to our body, no matter what relationship to gravity we are in. And then we have a pull and a push, which we're going to define by the muscle systems that we use. So let's give examples of all of those different movements. We'll start with a horizontal push. The easiest way to define that movement, or to give a good example of that movement, is a push-up, right? So here we are. We are pushing our body away from the floor. That is a horizontal push. A horizontal push could also be by pushing something away from our body in an upright position, like this kettlebell, right? Push. That means if I were to do a wall push-up, that would still be a horizontal push. Let's go for a horizontal pull. So we're going to start in the same orientation to gravity. We're going to pull the kettlebell towards our body, right? A pull is a little bit harder to get without equipment on the mat, but if we were going to think about how to get a pull on the mat with no equipment, we would think about the muscle system that we're using, so the extensor system, and we would try to use that. So we would define our pull not by the movement necessarily so much, but more by the extensor system or the muscle system being used. If I lift up like this, right, I am using my extensor system to hold me up. So this would still be a pull, which is kind of weird, right? Because we're pushing the ground away, but we're using our extensor system. So we're stimulating the muscles of pulling by doing a slightly different action. Don't worry, it gets less confusing. Let's go on to a vertical push and a vertical pull. So if we have something like a piece of equipment or a bag of dog food or a bag of rice, right? A vertical push is going to be vertical to my body and pushing something away from my body, right? So I'm pushing the kettlebell vertically, vertical push. Pretty basic, right? And then a vertical pull would be, again, if we were going to do no equipment on the mat, we would have to think about the muscle system being used. So we would think about the extensor system, right? And we would try to get this to happen again. A vertical pull because we're using the extensor system. So think about, are you using the front of your body or are you using the back of your body? Push or pull. And then in what plane of motion relative to your own body are you working? Horizontal or vertical? Horizontal or vertical? Give those a go and let me know how it goes.